Good morning, Anne Arundel County. Welcome to our delegation meeting, Friday, March 13th. We're going to begin with delegation roll call, as Mr. Secretary's remind me by adding to the agenda so I don't skip it this time. Mr. Secretary, could you please call the roll?
All right, this roll call is for the Anne Arundel County Delegation Meeting, 13 March 2026. Vice Chair Simmons.
Present.
Speaker Pena-Melnick. Delegate Bagnall.
Present.
Delegate Barnes. Delegate Bartlett is on excused absence. Delegate Baylor.
Here.
Delegate Chang.
Here.
Delegate Chisholm.
Here.
Delegate Howard. Delegate Jones. Delegate Kipke. Delegate Lehman.
Present.
Delegate Congolo.
Here.
Delegate Rogers.
Here.
Delegate Schmidt.
Schmidt, yes.
Chairman Pruski. Chairman Pruski is here.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, we have quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Before we start our meeting today, I had Delegate Chisholm for today's Pledge of Allegiance and Prayer. Delegate Chisholm, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you bow your heads, Heavenly Father, grant us the wisdom to govern with humility, the courage to stand for what is right, and the grace to work together even when we disagree. Help us remember that the people we serve are not numbers or votes, but families, workers, and children who place their trust in us. And may we always remember that the most powerful force in government is not the power itself, but the faith and freedom of the people we serve. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Delegate Chisholm, for today's Pledge of Allegiance and Prayer. I do want to take a moment, and I know Mr. Secretary remind me, Priscilla from AARP, I wanted to give a shout out to you and thank you for your advocacy. And I'm not sure if she's joining. I believe she is, but I was told to do that. Also, I know we have Senator Guile and Senator Pam Beidel. Thank you for joining us. I know we have Bill Hearings. Just want to recognize you. The screen is very big, so I'm not sure if I'm missing anybody else. Mr. Secretary will correct me if there is somebody that comes in. But let's move forward today. We do have Senator Chris Van Hollen, and I just want to take a moment on behalf of the delegation to thank him for his work. Certainly, we saw the recent release of our support in Annapolis from federal grants and partnerships, and I know there's many more. I know I appreciate, on behalf of the delegation, your partnership and continued work as we work through some of the challenges we have. But I'm going to turn it over to him because I know he has a tight schedule, and we also do as well with votes for bills and things. But ladies and gentlemen, our U.S. Senator Chris Van Hollen, welcome.
Well, thank you, Chair Pruski, and to Chair Giles, and really to all of you who were part of the Anne Arundel County delegation. I want to start by thanking you for what you do. In that 90-day period, you get an awful lot done. I remember fondly my time there. You're a lot more efficient than the United States Congress. And so hats off to all of you. And I know this is a busy time. I do want to give a shout out to Senator Pam Beidel because I know she'll be retiring, and it's been a really wonderful experience to work with her, and I know we'll continue to be engaged. Also, just at the outset, any one of you, please feel free to contact me directly anytime, or Jessica Clayton, who's our regional director, who's with us, our ambassador to Anne Arundel County and other parts of the state. And I also just want to say I work closely, of course, with my partner in the Senate, Angela Alston-Brooks, and we work with Congresswoman Elfreth. So, look, as you noted, Mr. Chairman, there are a lot of challenges we're facing these days. It's a very polarized environment in our country. We know that. We all still try to get things done. I want to thank all of you for efforts you're taking to deal with some of the fallout from some of what I think are bad decisions in Washington, D.C. these days, including the cuts that were made last year to Medicaid, to some of the food and nutrition programs, the failure to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits, which is really squeezing a lot of Maryland families. And I want to thank all of you, because I know you've taken some measures to try to mitigate that. And of course, we're still dealing with the fallout of Elon Musk coming in with his chainsaw about this time last year and doing great harm, in my view, to the federal government and the services it provides. And I know Anne Arundel County has been trying to help those talented federal employees that were laid off during that process. So I know you're dealing with the fallout from those decisions, but there is some good news, and I want to focus for a moment on the good news. And you referred to it, Mr. Chairman, the most recent good news. A week ago today, I was in Annapolis at the City Dock, and we were able to announce the $35 million FEMA grant, which was really the linchpin of that project. I mean, that project would really, it's hard to see how it would have gotten from where we are today to completion without those funds. And so that was an important story. And I want to thank the members of the District 30 delegation who've worked so closely with us to secure funds, including some state funds for that really important project in our capital city. We also were able to secure other funds for Anne Arundel County priorities for the Joint Public Safety Center. I discovered over the last year that Anne Arundel County was the one county in the state that did not have a joint public safety center where information for police and firefighters could come into one central place. Obviously, it makes sense to have that kind of hub. And so we were pleased to be able to provide some federal funds to support that, as well as federal funds for the ongoing Crownsville Hospital Memorial Park projects and the different elements of that. And I won't go down the whole list, but we were this year, finally, late at the federal level, able to pass a fiscal year 26 budget. Our fiscal year begins in October. We passed it just earlier this year. All except for the Department of Homeland Security. I'm going to come back to that in a minute. But as a result of passing the budget this year for all the other federal agencies, we were able to secure important funding for Maryland priorities, including one that's, of course, near and dear to all of our hearts, which is the health of the Chesapeake Bay. On a bipartisan basis in Congress, we rejected the Trump proposed cuts to many elements of the Chesapeake Bay protection programs. And so they are really fully funded, plus, and that's essential, as we know, to the health of the Bay, but also to the health of the entire Bay economy, which is essential to Anne Arundel County and other parts of Maryland, to the watermen, to the boating industry, to the tourism industry. And we all have a collective interest in making sure that we continue to protect the Bay, because it's constantly under threat as people move into the very big watershed that extends up to parts of New York. So I want to thank all of you for your efforts at the state level on that front as well. Now, very briefly, and I should say, when it comes to Fort Meade and Cyber Command, and all of you know very well how important that is, not just to our national security and our national interests, but to Anne Arundel County. I mean, between, the NSA, Cyber Command, all at that Fort Meade complex, we continue to provide, necessary federal resources to support our national security and that entire, set of employment opportunities around the Fort Meade area, as well as the transportation and roads. Prusky, you and I have talked about those many times over the years, but we're continuing to work on those. Now, let me go back to the one piece of the federal government that is not currently receiving funding, and that is the Department of Homeland Security. And, my view is that under this Trump administration, we're experiencing an out-of-control, lawless ICE operation. The Trump administration said they were going to go after the, quote, worst of the worst. But if you look at their own data, and I welcome all of you to look at their own data, it shows that well over 70% of the people that are being locked up and detained pose no risk to public safety. And that is why you've seen these big protests around the country, including in Minneapolis. We, of course, saw the tragic shooting killing of 2 American citizens, Renee Good and Alex Preddy. And the Trump administration called them both, quote, domestic terrorists, unquote. And recently, Kristi Noem, the Secretary of Homeland Security, or the former Secretary of Homeland Security, refused to retract that statement, despite the pain and hurt it's caused to their families and the obvious untruth of those statements. And that's why many of us have said we're not going to provide any more funding to ICE or Customs or Border Patrol until we see meaningful reforms. And we presented a number of proposals to the White House, and they just have not been, in my view, negotiating in good faith. And so we're at this impasse when it comes to ICE and Customs and Border Patrol. Now, that should not mean that the other offices within the Department of Homeland Security can't get funding. In my view, they should. And so twice now, including just yesterday or the day before, I went to the floor of the Senate with my colleagues to propose that we provide full funding for TSA, because everybody who's at TSA right now is working without pay. We should fully fund FEMA, and we should fully fund the Coast Guard. And then we can continue to negotiate over the reforms for ICE and Customs and Border Patrol. But there's no reason to hold these other offices hostage to the impasse over ICE funding. And unfortunately, and you can, it's not a partisan statement, you just watch what happened in the Senate the other day. The Republican leadership in the Senate blocked our proposal to do it. Our second time we've made that proposal. And so we remain at an impasse. And I will say that because of the bill that Trump and the Republican majorities in the Congress passed on a completely partisan basis last year, which they called the big, beautiful bill. I call it something else. But because of that, ICE already has 7 times its annual funding. It has $75 billion when their annual appropriations was more in the range of 70. And the Customs and Border Patrol has about twice their annual funding in mandatory funding. As a result of that, ICE officers and Customs and Border Patrol officers are being paid. They're on the job now and they're being fully paid. And they have more than enough money to continue to be paid. So there's absolutely no reason to hold TSA and FEMA and Coast Guard hostage as we work on these other issues. And it's important, I think, that as you begin to hear from constituents, and I know certainly we are, about the problems that people are going to start experiencing at airports and other issues, that we've proposed to provide full funding for all those operations. And we do not think they should be held hostage in a demand for a blank check, anything goes ICE operation. So let me close there. I know there may be a lot of questions, and happy to try and answer them. And let me just close where I started by really thanking all of you for the work that you're doing right now on behalf of our great state of Maryland.
Thank you, Senator Van Hollen. It looks like we do have 2 quick questions. We'll go with Delegate Lehman and Delegate Baylor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you so much, Senator Van Hollen, for the great work you are doing on our behalf and really for the whole country. You really, really make me proud. I think you make all of us proud. I have 2 questions about the agencies you were just speaking of under DHS. First of all, have there been any additional sort of, whether it's just editorial, comments from Trump and company, or moves to shift FEMA responsibilities to the states, as Trump has said in the past, because obviously that would be extremely concerning. I mean, I know the Maryland Emergency Management Agency, they do a great job, but there is no way they would have the capacity to step in if there were a major natural disaster in Maryland and replace all the functions of FEMA. So what is the status of FEMA?
Well, Delegate Lehman, first, thank you for all your good work. And I'm glad you raised that issue because, as you indicated, when the administration came in and when Kristi Noem first came in, she said she wanted to get rid of FEMA, right? And the good news is, on a bipartisan basis in Congress, that proposal's been rejected. But it's an ongoing battle. And when I say it's been rejected, what I mean is that we in Congress provided, ample funding to support FEMA operations. We also have begun to include in our appropriation bills, and you'll all appreciate this, you're all legislators. We used to have what was called congressional intent with respect to programs put in report language. And previous administrations from both parties had respected congressional intent in report language. The Trump administration completely disregarded the report language, which is the cause of a lot of the battles over the last 12 months. So we took a lot of this language that used to be report language and we put it into the statute. We just codified a lot of it. Now, we don't have as many guardrails as I would like, but we did put guardrails up around some of the FEMA money as well. So at least for now, and again, everything is just for now because this is an ongoing battle, we think we're okay on FEMA. Now, there's one big caveat to that. Well, a couple, but one is called the BRIC program. This is a resilience program. It's got strong bipartisan support.
Yeah.
There are two big projects in Maryland, not in Anne Arundel County, but there's one in Crisfield on the Eastern Shore. And there's one in Baltimore County. And both of them are about $30 million plus projects that are being held up because the Trump administration has refused to release the BRIC funding that is out there and ready to go and appropriated and signed into law, but they're refusing to release it. So we're still I don't want to get, we're still having a lot of problems.
Right.
But we're trying to, we've not, but FEMA remains intact.
Great, thank you. And that's promising information on FEMA. Really quickly, Mr. Chair, one other question, and I don't mean this rhetorically, I just wonder how you compel the folks at TSA to continue to report to work and do their jobs if they're not getting paid. Are they holding out? I hope most of them, even though I know it's a hardship, that eventually the agency will be funded again and they'll get paid. But are there issues with people quitting because of it?
Well, there will be issues. As you say, there's the good news and the bad news. The good news is at the end of the day, people will get paid. That's only the result of a bill that Senator Cardin and I passed during the first Trump administration, when we had what had been the longest shutdown in history before the more recent one. At that time, Senator Cardin and I passed a bill that guaranteed back pay to federal employees. And frankly, this administration, during this shutdown, tried to call that into question. They had this interpretation where they challenged that, but the law, in my view, is absolutely clear. So that's the good news. But the bad news, as you say, is that people are living, paycheck to paycheck. They got to pay their bills, their rent, their mortgage, whatever it may be. And that's why we've proposed, releasing those funds immediately, because what we know from earlier shutdowns is there comes a point where if you're a TSA official, that it is very hard to keep going to work when you're not getting paid because you have all sorts of financial pressures on yourself and your family.
Thank you. Well, thank you for your great work. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate Baylor.
You, Mr. Chair. Senator, you mentioned it in your statement, but I just wanted to say thank you again on behalf of Delegate Jones and Senator Henson and myself for everything that you're doing at the federal level, but really specifically on City Dock. I think it is going to be a revolutionary project, not just for Annapolis, not just for Anne Arundel County, but for the entire state. So I want to thank you, and I know Jessica Clayton put in a ton of hours on that project as well. So a big thank you to her. It's going to just change a lot of stuff about our city in the right direction. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Delegate Baylor. Thank you for acknowledging the efforts of Jessica. She was constantly on the phone, and as I recounted last week, I got this this note back in February. It was on Valentine's Day, actually, from the Mayor Littman, saying it was like an SOS. It's like, if we don't get this money, we are in deep, deep trouble. But they were coming up with contingency plans, of course. But it really did put the whole project at risk. So thank you. It was a big team effort, but we got right. We really went straight at FEMA after that with the help of some of our other colleagues on the Appropriations Committee.
Thank you, Senator Beidel.
Here we go. Thank you. And Senator Van Hollen, thank you for your kind comments and the work that you're doing. It's got to be so frustrating just to not be able to get done the things that you want for your constituents. But I need to really shout out, we're only as good as the people that we lead, that work for us. And Jessica's amazing. I see her everywhere in Anne Arundel. And a special shout out to Brent, who helped me with a very difficult situation with IRS for my dad. He was amazing. So your staff is just so responsive, and I think that's an honor to your leadership. So thank you, Senator.
Well, thank you, Senator. It's been an absolute joy to work with you on many, many issues over the years. And obviously, you're going to run, as you are, fast across the finish line. So we've got more work to do. But thank you for mentioning both Brent and Jessica. And to all of you, we're here if you need us. We obviously can't necessarily resolve every constituent matter, but we sure try. We try, and we have a pretty good success rate. But as you can imagine, we've got a lot of cases right now, and a lot on the immigration front, but many others as well.
Well, on behalf of the delegation, Senator Van Hollen, I thank you so much for coming here today. And I'll remind everyone, and everyone knows who Jessica is, if you need something, certainly reach out with his staff. But thank you for joining us today. We appreciate you.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We're going to move forward now with our agenda. We do have a vote. This is HB 1424, vote on Anne Arundel County Community Sewage System Homeowners Association control. Just want to quickly go to the sponsor. Anything else to add before we take any motions?
Nothing right now.
Okay. Is there any motions on the floor?
Move the bill.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor for HB 124, vote on Anne Arundel County Community Sewage System Homeowners Association control. It's been properly moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Mr. Secretary, please take the call.
This vote on 13 March 2026 for House Bill 1424, Anne Arundel County Community Sewerage Systems Homeowners Association control. Vice Chair Simmons.
Yes.
Speaker Pena-Melnick. Delegate Bagnall.
Yes.
Delegate Barnes. Delegate Bartlett. Delegate Baylor.
Yes.
Delegate Chang.
Yes.
Delegate Chisholm.
Yes.
Delegate Howard. Delegate Jones. Delegate Kipke.
Yes.
Delegate Lehman. Delegate Lehman. Delegate Congolo.
Yes.
Delegate Rogers.
Yes.
Delegate Schmidt.
Schmidt, yes.
Chairman Pruski.
Yes.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I stepped away. May I vote?
Yes.
Thank you. I vote yes.
Mr. Chair, by a vote of 11-0 with 5 absent, the motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary, and we'll get a letter over to the committee. We are now going to move on in initial bill hearings. Our first bill is HB 1122, Employee Pension Plan, Sheriff of Anne Arundel County vesting. I'm going to turn it over to the sponsor of this bill, Vice Chair Simmons.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good morning, colleagues. Come to you again on behalf of the Anne Arundel County Sheriff's Department as they look to change the vesting system from a previous of 10 years at age 65 for retirement to 5 years. In previous times, this has been a 5-year retirement. They moved it up to 10 years, and the sheriff is requesting to have it moved back to 8 years for that purpose. After retirement with 8 years of service at age 65, the pension benefit formula does not change. Applies only to the sheriff elected or appointed after July 1st, 2026. This bill does not apply to any current sheriff during the current term, if applies. So with that, we have Sheriff Sesker on the line who want to talk a little further about the meaning of the change in the vesting from 10 years to 8. Sheriff Sesker.
Sheriff, oh, there you go.
Yeah, I'm
Go
there.
ahead.
I'm sorry. Let me first say, Senator Bidle, thank you for your service with Anne Arundel County and the state. I appreciate you. Most of you know I've been trying to get things changed here in the sheriff's office. I work under the theory that I have 4 pillars, and that is to make the sheriff's office more modern, effective, efficient, and transparent. And changing the investment time for the sheriff from 10 years to 8 years will do that. So I'm looking to do this because anybody who runs for sheriff, let me back it up. We are working with the county police. I looked at the last people who ran for sheriff, and I want a sheriff who will run that will have the qualifications and the desire to do this job. Right now, there isn't a desire to do this job. The salary has been worked on, but the salary has not for this job been changed for 12 years. Why would anybody apply? I'm trying to make it more attractive for other people to run for sheriff, not for me, but for 10, 15 years from now. This will do just that. If we change it to an 8-year, it runs with election periods. Right now, the way the system is set up, somebody could retire in the middle of an election cycle, and then the next person would be appointed by the governor. That basically gives somebody an advantage, depending on who the governor is and the party is, to run that next term and have the experience of the sheriff's office. So,
Sheriff, did you just want to finish real quick?
yeah, thank you. I saw the
Okay.
clock and it just kind of like threw me.
Yeah, just about 10 seconds to wrap up.
Okay, so this is about ensuring that in the future, we have exactly qualified candidates. To be a sheriff, you need a certain level of command experience. You also need a certain level of practical experience in this profession. And right now, it's not enticing to other people to apply to run for sheriff.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions for the sponsor or the panel here today on 1122? Okay, well, thank you so much. We'll move forward in the agenda. We are now moving on to SB 414. This is Anne Arundel County Alcoholic Beverages Consumption Only Nonprofit Swim Club License. I know Senator Bidle is the sponsor, so I'll turn it over to her. And I believe we may have some folks who may testify as well. So I'll turn it over. Thank you, Senator Bidle.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to Vice Chair Simmons and all the members for hearing this bill. So, you know, we bring bills based on our constituents that come to us usually. And so this is one of those opportunities that I had, and you'll hear from Sandy Pop in a little bit. You know, Sandy works in the Senate. But Sandy was a member of the board of the Andover Swim Club, and they wanted to do like a Friday night members only kind of picnic, and everybody could bring their own alcohol. And Sandy did what any good attorney and state employee does. She called the liquor board and said, "Can we do this?" And the liquor board said, "No, it's not in the code." And Sandy knew that other swim clubs were doing it, but she wants to be absolutely legal in what they do. So I worked during the interim with the liquor board, with Abe, the attorney for the liquor board, and he helped to draft this bill. So there'd be an annual fee of $100 only for nonprofit swim clubs. They could schedule up to 5 events. They'd have to give the event schedule to the liquor board, so the liquor board could inspect if they want it. Members and guests can bring their beverages, their alcoholic beverages for consumption. So it's a BYOB opportunity. And it can only be limited number, as I said, limited number a year. In a year, the fee's $100, and they do have to notify the board of the event. So this is just to help a nonprofit. $100 a year for 5 events is pretty reasonable. Otherwise, they would have to sell tickets and sell the liquor. They wouldn't be able to do a BYOB, and it just becomes expensive to file $50 for one-day events every time you want to have an event. So they're trying to help the nonprofit. So thank you for your consideration. I hope that we can have a favorable report on Senate Bill 414. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Pop?
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the Anne Arundel County delegation. My name is Sandy Pop, and I am here in my personal capacity as a member of Andover Recreation to support Senate Bill 414. Andover is a private nonprofit swim and tennis club located in northern Anne Arundel County. This past summer, Andover became aware that Anne Arundel County Liquor Board prohibits nonprofit swim clubs from allowing members to bring and consume their own alcohol on its premises. Senate Bill 414 will address this issue by creating a new license for nonprofit swim clubs to allow members to bring and consume their own alcohol on its premises up to 5 times per year. Under current liquor board rules, Andover would need to procure a one-day liquor license for each time Andover wanted to allow the consumption of alcohol on its premises. Senate Bill 414 will streamline the license process, as it will create one license for up to 5 events. Under current liquor board rules, Andover would also have to essentially become bartenders, as we would be required to become tip certified and purchase and serve the alcohol. Andover is not in the business of selling alcohol. Senate Bill 414, through this new license, will eliminate this burden on Andover by allowing members to bring and consume their own alcohol. Senate Bill 414 will also save Andover money when it hosts events with alcohol. Andover's liability insurance only covers Andover in situations where members bring and consume their own alcohol, and specifically excludes coverage when Andover sells or serves alcohol. This is in direct conflict with the current one-day liquor license. Andover would have to obtain and purchase a rider policy in order to comply with the current license. I would like to thank Senator Bidel for introducing Senate Bill 414 and the Anne Arundel County Liquor Board for working with her on this issue. I respectfully request a favorable report.
Thank you, Ms. Pop, for coming and dropping by the other day too to explain the bill. Are there any questions from the delegation? Okay, well, thank you so much, Senator Bidel, for bringing the bill. I appreciate it. We're going to continue on. We're now go to SB 442, Anne Arundel County population ratio quota for Class A off-sale and Class D off-sale licenses exemption. I believe Senator Giles is going to give a brief piece, and we may have someone to testify. Senator Guile?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair and Mr. Vice Chair, and the delegation. So SB 442 is a corrective bill. You may recall that last year we had passed a bill establishing population ratio quotas for Class A and Class D licenses. After that time period, after we passed it, we realized that there were 3 businesses that applied for a license, but those had not been picked up by the effective date of the bill. And so they weren't allowed to receive their license. So therefore, this bill is very limited. It just allows those an exception for those 3 licenses that were approved by the Board of License Commissioners before July 1st, 2025, but had not been picked up by the effective date. So with that, it's very simple. I have Mr. Wise here. I worked with him and the licensed beverage holders on this bill. and there was no opposition. And I would just ask for your support, for delegation support of this bill.
Thank you so much, Senator Guile. Are there any questions in regards to this bill? Again, we did have this last year, and this is just kind of a tweak and update, nothing really major. I just want to give wait time to see if there's anybody watching the screen. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much, Senator Bidel, Senator Guile, for those two bills. Again, next week, we'll move them up for voting. Want to thank you all for being here today. We do have two final presentations on our agenda, and I'm looking at Mr. Secretary right now virtually. The first is Maryland Community Health Resources Commission. I didn't know if the presenter is here.
Yes, I believe so.
Good morning. Mark
Okay.
Luckner, Community Health Resource Commission. Happy Friday.
Yes, sir. Welcome.
Mr. Chairman. We sent written testimony, Mr. Chairman. Thank you again for the invitation on behalf of the Community Health Resource Commission. Would you like for us to run through a slide deck, or shall I just speak for a few minutes and entertain questions from the delegation?
Yeah, I think if you want to just give a quick summary in the 5 minutes, and then if people have questions, we'll do that. I think anything sent, Mr. Secretary, has or will send out. So you may proceed.
Has been forwarded.
Okay, great. Well, for the record, I'm Mark Luckner, Executive Director, Community Health Resource Commission. With me today is Lorianne Moss, who works with me at the Community Health Resource Commission. We are a state agency created by the General Assembly in 2005. I happened to work for the HGO committee at that time, and to be its director, I've been here since 2009. It's just very rewarding. We have given out over our 20 plus years, nearly 1,000 grants across the state, and those grants have served just under 1 million Marylanders. The Health and Government Operations Committee and the Senate Finance Committee, shout out to Chair Middleton, who is our sponsor in the Senate, asked us to expand healthcare access in underserved communities. And we do that via 3 grant programs: an annual program, which provides $7 million across the state. We just sent out that RFP last week. Proposals are due April 23rd. And if any members of the delegation would like more information about that active live funding opportunity, please contact our office, and we would be happy to provide that information to any community that you'd like. Second, the Maryland Health Equity Resource Act. It's a bill that was approved by the Health and Government Operations Committee a couple of years ago. It's a 7-year act funded at $59 million a year, or $59 million for 7 years. And those have 12 programs across the state that help connect underserved communities with healthcare access and have a particular emphasis on addressing social determinants of health. Third and final funding program that we're pleased to help implement is the Consortium on Coordinating Community Supports, which folks are probably aware was included in the Blueprint bill several years ago. That provides about $100 million a year in all 24 jurisdictions. And just in 1 year of the project has served 135,000 children across the state. We're in 86% of schools. And those programs are helping provide Tier 1 preventive services, Tier 2 services for children that are starting to demonstrate need for additional services, and then Tier 3 services, which might be considered more traditional therapy services. We have provided to the delegation an impact statement for those services. And just to highlight a few of those metrics, 90% of the children and families that have received services are satisfied with them. And 4 out of every 5 children who have received services under the Consortium on Community Supports have demonstrated progress and desired skill. Finally, we greatly we greatly appreciate the support of the General Assembly in supporting these increased responsibilities of our office. And we thank you for your support of our budget allowance, and special shout out to my delegate. I live in Annapolis, Delegate Jones. It was good to see you at our budget hearing earlier this week. With that, Mr. Chairman, thanks for the invitation. I'd be happy to answer any questions from the delegation.
Thank you, Mr. Luckner. And I know the Chair of Health probably had to leave, but we appreciate your service to the General Assembly and also the presentation as well. And Lorraine, thank you guys so much. Does any delegates have any questions for the presenter here today? Vice Chair Simmons.
Sorry. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Mark, I just wanted to come on and thank you for all of your hard work. You and your team, it's really been amazing over these last few years that I've been working with you, and all the hard work y'all been doing to bring resources to my district and to do community reach and outreach. with us. So, I know it's a lot of things that are taking place, and y'all have a small office, but y'all are doing a lot to touch every resident of Anne Arundel County. So I just want to thank you for all the hard work of your agency.
Thank you so much, Vice Chair Sims. Any other questions? Thank you again for both of you for joining us today, and I'm sure the delegation will reach out if anybody has any other questions. We do have one more presentation, the Anne Arundel County NAACP. I believe Mr. Waddy is here, and I'll turn it over to him for 5 minutes and want to welcome you. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you guys. Can you hear me? Okay, good. I'm here on behalf of the Anne Arundel County NAACP. As you know, our mission is to achieve equity, political rights, and social inclusion by advancing policies and practices that expand human and civil rights, eliminate discrimination, and accelerate the well-being, education, and economic security of Black people and all persons of color. And so I want to send our appreciation to the chair for having us today, and it's great to see everyone that's on the call as well. I just wanted to go through a couple bills that we are supporting this year. Some of them are related to transportation, others are wages, others are related to juvenile justice. And one that is very key to us is the Cherish Act with HB 1268. The Cherish Act would help communities like Lothian be able to achieve a sense of justice and economic justice and environmental justice due to the fact that they have been experiencing compounding environmental injustices, at least for the last 70 years at least. Our environmental justice chair, Dr. Tracy Garrett, brought that bill to us, and the NAACP has supported it for the past few years. And so it's just something that I think you all should be able to support as well. We definitely support SB1 that would prohibit face coverings for masked officers. SB 180 is a bill that deals with fair housing testing. This is something that we went to a film screening a few years ago by the Anne Arundel County Office of Equity, and they talked about fair housing testing. And so fair housing testing is when you have maybe a Black couple and a white couple who are testers that go to various real estate offices, and they determine whether or not there's any form of discrimination or racial. It might even have a gay couple or lesbian couple as well. And people are determining whether or not there's discrimination. And unfortunately, they're unable to record those conversations that they might have where discrimination is being revealed due to the fact of Maryland has this anti-recording. You got to have both parties consent to being recorded. And so this would provide an exception for that and allow the recording of these conversations for fair housing testing purposes. And then we also have SB 274, which is a bill on the housing discrimination as well. In regards to the juvenile justice reform, we support the Youth Charging Reform Act, where we are eliminating the automatic charging of youth as adults, which has been a big issue for us. We've seen decades of the stigmatization of Black youth. We had a conversation with some of the local news channels around 2021, 2022, and they even discussed how they stigmatized Black youth and kind of criminalized what they called the squeegee boys. You all may have heard about the squeegee boys being criminalized in our news, and we've had to find ways to kind of reduce that stigmatization. Before that, there were there's various other terms that people have used to try and criminalize Black youth, especially young Black boys. So our goal is to help eliminate that automatic charging of youth as adults. We also have HB 464, which would ban. We want to see a ban on no-knock search warrants. Anne Arundel County did have one no-knock search warrant according to the racial equity report that came along with this bill in 2024. And so, although it may be limited, it's something that we're looking to eliminate, because that was something that we already limited in the 2021 Maryland Police Accountability Act, but people are still using it. In the Maryland Police Accountability Act, they limited no-knock search warrants to during the daytime, so you couldn't do them during the evening. But those are some of the bills that we're interested in. And I guess the last one we have is HB 120, which is around the location of new data centers, which has been a big issue as well.
Thank you, Mr. Waddy. Let me open it up to the delegates if anybody has any questions. I just want to give a second here to check the screen. Delegate Rogers. Oh, Delegate Rogers, you're on mute.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good morning, President Waddy. What's
Good
the
morning.
issue? What's the issue with data centers?
The issue that we've had with data centers has been, one, it's that they've been located in predominantly African-American communities around the country. One of the main issues that we had that the NAACP has had on the national level, the Memphis NAACP has been fighting against the data center located there that was put there by Elon Musk and his XAI. And so they were running gas powered generators at all times of night, polluting the air as well. And it was in a predominantly Black community. And so that was one of the primary concerns that they had.
So let me just ask, not to cut you off, but I know we're on a time crunch. So the concern is not so much of not supporting data centers, but it's more of the location of data centers from an EJ perspective.
Right.
Okay.
It's not that data centers are, it's definitely environmental justice related for the most part.
All right.
Thank you, Delegate Rogers. That was a good question. And Mr. Waddy, thank you for that. Any other questions for Mr. Waddy? Well, certainly on behalf of the delegation, I want to appreciate you. You know, you can reach out anytime to us and your advocacy, and thank you for letting us know the priorities, and we hope you have a great day.
Thank you. Likewise.
Thank you so much. Colleagues, that's it for presentations, but I do have some reminders and announcements. So first, as you know, we heard a couple of bills today that came up from the Senate, so that will move forward to a vote next week unless there's any additional amendments. Also, Thursday, please mark your calendars. Thursday, April 2nd is Staff Appreciation Luncheon. Mr. Secretary will be collecting $20 for any staff member that you'd like to purchase lunch from Paul's. Again, I believe an email will go out as well. I don't know if there's anything else, Mr. Secretary, you'd like to add?
No, that's it. It'll be open to delegates, senators, and their staffs.
Okay. Again, this has been a tradition, again, for staff appreciation. Again, follow up with Mr. Secretary. And just a reminder, as I said, next week, the bills that we had this week will move forward as we close out delegation for the year. Is there any additional business or announcements to be brought forward the delegation today? Seeing none, do I see a motion?
Move to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you all. Appreciate it. Have a great day, great weekend. And thank you so much again to staff for your support and help